In module 7 of chapter 9, we shall continue the problems on surfaces embedded in space, but here we shall deal with a special type of surface called torus. Torus is a surface of genus 1. There are many torus, or we shall in plural form we can say that tori. There are many tori of genus 1, genus 2, genus 3. If there is one hole, it is called genus 1. If there are two holes on a torus, it is called genus 2, the surface of genus 2. So, here we shall find the Gaussian curvature, normal curvature, principal curvatures, all these things of a torus. And secondly, we shall find the Enneper's formula, which is the relation between the torsion and the Gaussian curvature. So, let us start with the intrinsic geometry of torus. So, in module 7 of chapter 9, our main learning objects is the intrinsic geometry of torus, and secondly we shall try to find the Enneper's formula, Beltrami-Enneper's formula. So, let us start with the torus. Now, we know a surface obtained by rotating a circle about a coplanar line outside of the circle forms a torus. It is also the geometric representation of S1 cross S1, where S1 is a circle. So, let C be a circle of radius small c lying in the xz plane with alpha 0 as a center about the z axis. Let V be the directed angle from the positive direction of the x axis to a point P on C. So, here the circle is rotated about the z axis and the circle itself is lying in the xz plane. So, with this informations we have the equation of torus like this: alpha plus c cos v cos u, alpha plus c cos v sin u, and c sin v. That is x equals to alpha plus c cos v cos u, y equals to alpha plus c cos v sin u, and z equal to c sin v. Now, this one can be understood from this figure. The circle is on xz plane and its center is alpha comma 0 and radius is c, and P is a point on the circle and V is the directed angle. Now, if this circle is rotated along the z axis, then we shall get this torus of genus 1, and here is it is a figure when the torus is just separated at a point. We get in the figure that the Gaussian curvature K has different form on this torus. The Gaussian curvature is greater than 0 at the outside portion. Along the dotted line, the Gaussian curvature is equal to 0. That means, along the dotted line the points are parabolic points, and at the outside portion the points are elliptic point because the Gaussian curvature is greater than 0, and in the inside portion the Gaussian curvature is less than 0. So, it is the hyperbolic type, the points are here hyperbolic points. So, all the three types of points are lying on the torus. So, if we calculate these values A11, earlier we have obtained these values, A11 equals to alpha plus c cos v whole square, A12 equals to A21 equals to 0. That means, here also the curvilinear coordinate system on the surface is orthogonal and A22 is equal to c square. So, the determinant A will be A11, determinant of A11, A12, A21, A22, and A is the value of A is coming to c square alpha plus c cos v whole square. Now, the coefficient of second fundamental forms are B11 equals to minus alpha plus c cos v, B12 equals to 0 and B22 equals to minus c. So, determinant of B alpha beta can be obtained this way, B equals to c alpha plus c cos v cos v. So, these are the values of A and B. Now, since A12 equals to B12 equals to 0, the coordinate curves or the parametric curves are the lines of curvature of the torus. And the Gaussian curvature, that is B by A, is coming to this one cos v by c alpha plus c cos v, and also the principal curvatures kappa 1 and kappa 2 have these values B11 by A11, that is equal to minus cos v by alpha plus c cos v, and kappa 2, that is the principal curvature, equals to B22 by A22 equals to minus 1 by c. And from the equation of the principal curvatures, the Gaussian curvature also is a product of the principal curvatures k 1 and k 2 or kappa 1 and kappa 2, and which is coming to cos v by c alpha plus c cos v. So, the above value is coinciding with this one. And from here we see that if v equals to plus minus pi by 2, then k equals to 0. That means, when v equals to plus minus pi by 2, all the points on this torus are the parabolic points. So, the circle of radius alpha on the torus T consists of parabolic points only. So, points on T whose distance from z axis is greater than alpha, they are elliptic, and in that case the Gaussian curvature is greater than 0, and the points whose distance from z axis is smaller than alpha are hyperbolic, and in that case k, the Gaussian curvature is less than 0. And we can also find the total area of torus. The total area of torus can be obtained by the double integration. Earlier we have obtained the formula that how to find the area on the surface, and this is coming to integration from 0 to 2 pi and 0 to 2 pi c alpha plus c cos v du dv, that is equal to 4 pi square c alpha square units. So, just now we have studied the intrinsic geometry of torus, where we have obtained the Gaussian curvature, principal curvatures, normal curvature and area on a torus. Now, we shall study the Beltrami-Enneper's formula, and with this one we shall study some more problems. So, let us start the Beltrami-Enneper's formula. So, now let us start with Beltrami-Enneper's formula, which relates the torsion of an asymptotic line with the Gaussian curvature of a surface. We shall prove that the torsion of an asymptotic line is equal to plus minus root over minus k, where k is the Gaussian curvature of the surface. Now, from the equation of normal curvature, we know kappa n equals to b alpha beta lambda alpha lambda beta. This is the known relation for the normal curvature. Now, from the proof of the Misner's theorem, there is an equation number 7, which gives this relation, that kappa mu I plus kappa g eta I plus kappa n xi I, kappa mu I equals to this one, where kappa g is the geodesic curvature, kappa n is the normal curvature of the surface, and kappa is the curve of a surface which have the same tangent vectors. Hence, for an asymptotic line, we have kappa mu I equals to kappa g eta I, because kappa n is 0. So, we are getting this relation. Thus, the binormal of the asymptotic line must be codirectional with the surface normal. So, we can write mu I equals to xi I. Now, taking intrinsic derivative, in both cases we get del nu I del s equals to del xi I del s. Now, which gives this relation, that minus tau mu I equals to xi I comma alpha du alpha ds, and we know that du alpha ds is lambda alpha. So, this becomes xi I comma alpha lambda alpha. Now, we know that mu I, the components of principal curvature, are the components of unit vector. So, g I j mu I mu j equals to 1. Therefore, tau square equals to g I j tau mu I tau mu j, and in place of tau mu I and tau mu j, if we replace from the above, we get g I a xi I comma alpha lambda alpha xi j comma beta lambda beta, and we know that g I j xi I comma alpha xi j comma beta is equal to c alpha beta. So, it becomes c alpha beta lambda alpha lambda beta. Again, from the relation between the three fundamental forms, we also have this equation, that C alpha beta minus 2 H B alpha beta plus K A alpha beta equals to 0. So, we get this one by multiplying by lambda alpha lambda beta and both sides, we get tau square minus 2 H B alpha beta lambda beta plus K A alpha beta lambda beta equals to 0. Now, as for the normal curvature, B alpha beta lambda beta, this one is considered here as a 0. So, tau square equals to minus k. As we have considered here the asymptotic lines, so kappa n is 0, that is why B alpha beta lambda beta is coming to 0. So, tau square plus k equals to 0, or tau square equal to minus k, and we can write tau equals to plus minus root over minus k, and this problem is known as Enneper's formula or Beltrami-Enneper's formula. Now, we shall see in this problem that how to find the asymptotic lines of a surface of revolution. Now, the surface of revolution has the equation this one, r equals to u cos phi u sin phi f u is a function of u, and we shall see that the asymptotic lines will be determined by this equation f 11 du square plus u f 1 d phi square equal to 0, where f 11 is nothing but the second order derivative of the function with respect to u, and f 1 is the first order derivative of the function with respect to u. And with this we shall find the torsion of the asymptotic lines by using the Enneper's formula. So, now let us solve this problem. Now, in this case we know how to find the coefficients of the second fundamental forms, that B 11, B 12, B 22. We have obtained that B 11 is equal to f 11 by root over 1 plus f 1 square, B 12 equals to 0, and B 22 is this one u f 1 by root over 1 plus f 1 square. And we can also find this A 11 and A 22, A 11 is 1 plus f 1 square and A 22 is u square. So, if we find the values B 11 lambda 1 square plus B 22 lambda 2 square equals to 0, we get this equation f 11 by root over 1 plus f 1 square du square plus u f 1 by root over 1 plus f 1 square d phi square equal to 0. We know that for the asymptotic lines the normal curvature vanishes, that means B alpha beta lambda beta equals to 0. So, that is why these equations are coming. So, if we just simplify this one, we get f 11 du square plus u f 1 d phi square equal to 0. And we can also find the Gaussian curvature equals to u f 1 f 11 by 1 plus f 1 square whole square u square. So, from Enneper's formula we know that the tau, the torsion of the asymptotic line, is tau equals to plus minus root over minus k. So, putting the value of k, we find the torsion of the asymptotic lines, that is plus minus root over minus u f1 f11 by 1 plus f1 square whole square u square, and which comes to this one plus minus root over minus u f1 f11 by 1 plus f1 square u. Now, in the next problem, we shall see that if the parametric curves, or the coordinate curves are the lines of curvature on a minimal surface, that if the surface is a minimal surface, that means the mean curvature is 0 there, then they form a isometric system. Now, if the parametric curves are the lines of curvature, we have these conditions. In our earlier modules, we have deduced this one, that if the parametric curves are the line of curvature, then A12 equals to B12 equals to 0. Now, also we know that for minimal surface H equals to 0, that means half A alpha beta B alpha beta equals to 0. So, if we just break this one, we get 1 by H equals to 1 by 2 A, where A is the determinant of A alpha beta, into A22 B11 plus A11 B22. Now, as A12 equals to B12 equals to 0. So, H equals to 0 gives B11 equals to B22 equals to 0, that is B alpha beta equals to 0 altogether. Hence, the surface is a plane, because B alpha beta is 0, that means the surface is a plane surface, and the surface is isometric with Euclidean plane. Now, in the next problem, we find that if theta is the angle between the principal normal and surface normal, then we have this relation mu I equals to x I alpha eta alpha sin theta plus xi I cos theta. So, theta is the angle between the principal normal and surface normal, and eta alpha are the principal normal for the surface one, and mu I is the principal normal for the space, and the xi I are the components of surface normal. So, we shall see this relation holds. So, using Frenet formulae for space curve and surface curve, and using Gauss formula, we get this relation kappa mu I equals to kappa g eta I plus b alpha beta xi I lambda alpha lambda beta. This is a relation which one we have obtained in the proof of Misner's theorem, and we also have this one kappa cos theta equals to b alpha beta lambda beta, that is the expression for the normal curvature, which one also obtained from Misner's theorem, and this one also obtained from the Misner's theorem as a corollary, that kappa g equals to kappa sin theta, the geodesic curvature is equal to kappa sin theta. Now, putting all these values in the equation 26, that is the previous equation, we get this one kappa mu I equals to kappa sin theta eta I plus kappa cos theta xi I, or we have this one, because eta I can be replaced by x I alpha eta alpha. So, mu I equals to x I alpha eta alpha sin theta plus xi I cos theta. Now, next problem, we shall see that if a curve is a geodesic on the surface, then it is either a straight line or its principal normal is orthogonal to the surface at every point and conversely. So, this is a very important problem, that if a curve is a geodesic on the surface, then either it will be a straight line or its principal normal will be orthogonal to the surface at every point. So, now let us prove this one, very easy proof. From the equation above, previous equation, we get that kappa g equals to kappa sin theta. Now, for geodesic, this kappa g equals to 0, that means geodesic curvature is equal to 0, that means kappa sin theta equals to 0. So, either kappa equals to 0 or sin theta equals to 0. Now, if kappa equals to 0, the curve is a straight line, and if sin theta equal to 0, then theta equal to 0 or pi. So, hence the principal normal and the surface normal are collinear, and consequently principal normal is orthogonal to the surface at every point. Now, converse also follows immediately. In module 7 of chapter 9, we have dealt with the intrinsic geometry of torus, where we have obtained the Gaussian curvature, principal curvatures, normal curvatures of a torus. Secondly, we have obtained the Ennepert's formula. Ennepert's formula is the formula to obtain the torsion of the asymptotic lines with the help of the Gaussian curvature. So, with these things we end this module.